After this, the Lord appointed 70 others and sent them on ahead of him in pairs to every town and place where he himself intended to go. He said to them, "The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore, ask the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. Go on your way. See, I am sending you out like lambs into the midst of wolves. Carry no purse, no bag, no sandals, and greet no one on the road. Whatever house you enter, first say, 'Peace to this house.' And if anyone is there who shares in peace, your peace will rest on that person. But if not, it will return to you. Remain in the same house, eating and drinking whatever they provide, for the laborer deserves to be paid. Do not move about from house to house. Whenever you enter a town and its people welcome you, eat what is set before you, cure the sick who are there, and say to them, 'The kingdom of God has come near to you.' But whenever you enter a town and they do not welcome you, go out into its streets and say, 'Even the dust of your town that clings to our feet, we wipe off in protest against you.' Yet know this, the kingdom of God has come near." Nigel's now going to come and talk to us.
We're always thankful for the harvest, for bringing in of the harvest. And we're reminded in the reading, you've just seen on the size of the harvest. And I was listening to the radio this week and heard about the Cheshire tomatoes, that there are not enough seasonal workers to bag all the tomatoes. So they're just being wasted. And cauliflowers and broccoli in Scotland are millions of pounds just being put back into the ground because the workers are few, and it's a picture for the church. Today we're supporting the work of the West Cheshire and Flintshire Food Bank. Many of you will know that Rose is very active, Rose Johnson serving there. We're involved in things like Foodie Fridays. Does a fantastic work in the community. 3,468 emergency food parcels have been issued in the first 6 months of the year. So amazing work in the community. So they have a shopping list on their website of food they need, and they also need that stuff called money as well. I want to talk a little bit about the Debt Advice service that we run from St Mark's. We set this service up right at the end of 2019, and we really got going at the beginning of 2020. We've now helped just over 50 people with debts totaling 509,000, and we've been able to bring real relief from worry. I had a text from one of our clients who said, "Thank you for sorting out my debt relief order. I can't put into words how much it means to me." When we meet clients for the first time, they talk about their feelings of worthlessness, their absolute helplessness, their sense of failure, that they have let down others, let down their family, let down those people who depend on them. They feel trapped by debt, and often they're hungry. They haven't got enough food. They're afraid of opening the door because of the fear of bailiffs and people knocking on their door looking for money. I'm not generalising, but often when we go into the homes of people who are suffering with debt, there's a real heaviness. Nearly always the curtains are drawn, the television's on, they're worried, they're stressed, and they're worn down by debt. And I want to contrast this with the words of Christ, when he said, "Come unto me, all you who labour and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, For I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Those are Christ's words. And then in Psalm 55, the well-known words, cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. So what's all this got to do with Pledge Sunday and harvest? Now, you'll all know, well, I suspect you've all heard of Gary Barlow, yeah? From Cheshire. We're going to listen to a song by Gary Barlow. It may be a bit surprising to you, but hopefully, if Nigel performs, we will have a YouTube now of the song. I listened to this CD quite a while ago and found it very powerful. The words in the chorus state, if you found God and he gave you hope, would you tell the world or would you save your soul? If you found God, would you take him home? Would you open the curtains or keep them closed? If you found God, would it be your secret? If you found God, would it be your secret? And then he goes on to sing, if he gave you hope, if he saved your soul, would it be your secret? And then, can anyone really be that selfish? Can anyone really be that cruel to keep the King of heaven and earth right next to you? And I think the reality is that it often is our secret. We believe we have a God who frees us from oppression, who takes away all our fears, on whom we can totally rely, who loves us unconditionally as we are, and importantly for me, forgives us time and time and time again. And yet, we often hide this God in our churches. People have to really want to get into our places of worship. We follow strange traditions. They're difficult to learn. It can be intimidating. Jan and I came from a Baptist church where we were for 20-odd years, 30 years. And understanding how an Anglican church works is incredibly difficult. I'm now a churchwarden with coffee there. Neither of us have a clue what we're doing. But we have things like the terrier to complete. To me, a terrier is a dog, not a log. This morning we said the collect. What on earth's a collect? It's what the dustman does. These are confusing expressions that make it difficult to break into church. Now, we had a welcome meeting at Hennie's marvellous meal on Thursday, and what a fine spread Hennie produced. And we're delighted, I can see a couple of the families at the back there, that some people have been brave enough to break into our church. Well done. You've made it through the doors. But there could be so many more. If we really believe that we worship a God who has the answers, we should be reaching out far more into the community. Now, Hennie was given a text from Isaiah. I said Ephesians this morning. It's like when I try and say salad and it comes out chips. From Isaiah, which was, enlarge the site of your tent and let the curtains of your habitations be stretched out. Do not hold back. Lengthen your cords and strengthen your stakes, for you will be spread out to the right and to the left, and your descendants will possess the nations and will settle the desolate towns. We spent a long time, thinking about those words and what the Lord was saying to us. And then we had a church weekend a couple of years ago, which was led by Chris Lane. And for me, it was the most powerful church weekend I think I've ever been on. But a very clear, simple message, which was to invite people for meals, to invite people for lunch and dinner, and really engage with people. One of the clients that we're helping in the debt centre, a young man, has had a very hard life. He ended up homeless and into drugs at 18, and now he's got a family. But through that journey, when he was homeless, he woke up in Coventry Cathedral, and the sun shone on him. He was freezing, and the sun shone on him. And he felt that that was the Lord reaching out to him. And he said those words to me. And I said, you know, you're really welcome to come into church. He said, I won't come into church, because there you just make me feel guilty. It's full of people making me feel guilty. And that's not what we should be, because, you know, it clearly isn't what we intend. Now, as a church, we state on our website that we exist to be a church where anyone can come, see, and belong. We exist to be a church where the hurt find healing, the lost find hope, the broken find wholeness, and where lives are transformed by Jesus from the inside out. We exist to be a church where we celebrate our relationship with God and our life together. We aim to hear from Jesus and be shaped and equipped by him. We exist to be a church where we seek to love, share, and reveal Jesus Christ to those in our community. Those are the aims that we sign up to, that we state. And it's all very true. But I repeat, how brave you have to be to come into our building. Chris Lane spoke to us about Christ meeting people always over dinner or lunch. Christ ate with sinners. He didn't condemn them, he loved them, he showed them compassion. So I want you to imagine for a moment the impact in our community if we really got going as a church. Some of you will know where this is now going, but imagine a glass-fronted building here at St Mark's, visible, attractive, where there's daily activity, life going on all the time. Mums and dads can stop for a coffee and a natter after dropping children at playgroup. Parents can gather after the toddler club for a coffee. Where people can come and safely have a chat about debt, family issues, parenting. A living, breathing centre for our community. Where young people can come in the evenings and hang out and enjoy coffee. A place to invite their friends. Now I'd ask you to contrast that with, I'm not in any way being critical, but last Thursday's A Place of Welcome. We run a Place of Welcome, Christine leads it and it's brilliant, but all we have is a little sign outside saying come into our church, and you have to break in through the door, and you don't know what you're going into. And there's about a dozen people that turn up. Or Messy Church. Jan and I came to Messy Church a couple of weeks ago, slightly by mistake. We hadn't read the timetable, but we came to Messy Church, and we came to this door, and there was no sign on it. It was locked. We went to that door, and that was locked, and then we saw the poster inviting us into Messy Church. And you have to be brave to go into these things, because you can't see in. You can't see what you're going into. Now, we have drawn up plans for such a centre. There it is. That's a glass-fronted centre around the halls, where there will be complete visibility and an invite into. Now, we started this project. We've done up the hall. If you go in the hall, it looks marvellous. And we've just redecorated the link. And we've restructured the offices, so we've begun the project. We have a beautiful church. It's architecturally pleasing, but it's not inviting. It doesn't suck people in. I think we've improved by opening the front doors as the place of welcome. But we really are at the stage where we need to decide whether we are hearing from God, and he wants St Mark's to be a living, breathing hub in this community, or whether we're content with the status quo. And I would have to say those words of Gary Barlow, we found God, but we took him home. We kept him in the building. And we've shut the doors and we've drawn the curtains. big heavy curtains as well. Now, you'll see on some forms that have been given out, we need to raise 500,000 in funds. And that can be a daunting figure. But we have a God who provides. In John 14:14, he says, yes, ask me anything in my name and I will do it. And as I said this morning, you'll like this, Edna, I said, and God has a little helper, Edna, who will help us, who's helping us to get grant money. Now, just this week, we heard about a fund that's been made available to faith-based projects as the country tries to recover from COVID. I found it very interesting that that was directed at faith-based organisations, and we will be able to apply for 125,000. Whether we get it or not, we need to pray. But we need to decide whether we are behind this project or not. I come back to the reading we had today. The harvest is plentiful, but the labourers are few. All around us, I see people are in need. It's not just poverty, it's hunger, it's depression, it's all sorts of things. It's not only in the Lache and Saltney, but it's in Westminster Park and Curzon Park. There are people who are lonely everywhere. COVID has made it worse. Isolation is everywhere. People are scared to go out. But we need people to get involved. We had a steering meeting last week, and I had a slight sense of being overwhelmed by the size of the task and the lack of people, the lack of us that were at the meeting. We need more people to get involved. Our God is the Lord of the harvest, and we know he will provide, and we know he is the answer to a lot of, to the world's problems, to the locality's problems. But how do people find him? We had 5 leads in just this last week from the local GP surgeries for people who need help with debt. That's 5 people who we will see, and that's probably 15 hours of face-to-face time and then a lot of admin following up. That's 5 more lives that we will have input into. But all we are able to do is deal with their immediate needs. Haven't got the time to deal with the other issues that surround them. So we deal with their debt and then we move on. The harvest is plentiful, but the labourers are few. So we would like you as a membership to consider if you are prepared to support this building project. It's not a building project per se. It's an attempt to put St Mark's into the centre of the community, to really respond to the needs that are here. Finance is a key area, so I hope you will pray and you will fill in these little forms. There is over there on the desk where you can do click and collect, pay and whatever, over there, and consider if you will support this project. In a sense, it doesn't matter about the amount. We obviously have a large target. It's more about saying, are we together behind this project? Do we believe this is what the Lord has been telling us for some time? So I'd ask you to pray about that, to either put it in there today, to bring it back next week, or to submit it online, any which way. Okay. So, thank you for listening. That's me done, and I'll hand back to Hennie.
Thank you, Nigel. I don't know if any of you else had heard the song before. I listened to it last night. I was really deeply challenged by the words and the lyrics of the song. It's been really touching me. We have got a large amount to raise, but my last church, my last parish, they raised 4 million to rebuild their church and church centre, which was opened the other day. It was in a picture of it in Church Times last week. 4 million. But God provided. And I really believe, again, that God will provide for us. But as the last Archbishop of York used to say, we already have the money. It's in our pockets. just needs a generous heart and a real belief that I love this word of being a living, breathing hub in the community. Living, breathing. I love that. To bring life to the parish and to the community. Living, breathing. So we're going to have an opportunity now to pray, as Nigel said. To pray and to ask God, with courage, how much he's asking us to contribute to this faith-building project. And if you need a pencil or thing, then Nina and I will be able to give you one. And if you would like to, just fold it like that, so it's anonymous, and put it in the thing as you go, in the basket as you go out. Or if you want to take it away and give more time to prayer, please do. But as Nigel said, are we united? Are we together? And if we are, then God will provide. So let's pray and let's act.